The moment a woman feels your interest slipping is the moment her mask begins to crack. Everything she said about consistency, about wanting stability, about needing constant attention. Suddenly those words mean nothing. Her actions, not her words, reveal the truth. And that truth is far more raw, far more instinctual, and far more unsettling than most men are prepared to see. Think about it. When you were fully invested, when you answered her messages within minutes, when you arranged dates, when you made her feel like the center of your orbit, she seemed secure. She laughed freely, played along, maybe even gave you glimpses of warmth that kept you hooked. But when you shift, when you stop feeding her the constant stream of energy she has grown accustomed to, something primitive gets triggered. It's not rational. It's not logical. It's survival mixed with ego, fear colliding with pride. Her behavior changes overnight. One day she's the woman who leans close, hangs on your words, sends you selfies just to remind you she's there. The next, she's cold, distant, scrolling her phone while you speak, acting like your presence is no longer necessary. And the mistake most men make is thinking they need to fix it. They start chasing harder, filling the gap, desperate to prove they still care. But in that desperate attempt, they miss the hidden game unfolding. Because here's the unspoken rule. Women reveal their truest psychology not when you're giving, but when you stop. And if you're strong enough, calm enough, masculine enough to let the silence speak, you'll see sides of her that she would rather keep buried. Some women panic. They flood you with messages, suddenly finding excuses to see you, laughing too loud at your smallest jokes, complimenting you more than usual. To the untrained eye, this looks like affection reborn, as if she realized your worth. But look deeper. It's not always love. Often it's fear, the fear of losing the validation your attention provided. She doesn't want to lose the feeling you gave her, not necessarily you. Others go cold. They turn distant, short, dismissive. This isn't disinterest. It's a defense mechanism. She feels you pulling away, so she beats you to the punch. You can't reject me, her silence screams, because I've already rejected you. She cloaks her vulnerability with icy detachment, hoping to regain the control she senses slipping. And then there are the ones who play games. They flirt with other men, post cryptic captions online, or casually mention some new guy in conversation, just loud enough for you to hear. Not because she's found someone better, but because she wants you to feel uncertain, jealous, destabilized. She wants to know if your composure is real or if she can make you break. Do you see the pattern? It's not about affection. It's about control. The moment your attention feels uncertain, she scrambles to reclaim power in whatever way she knows how. And the tragedy is that most men, blind to the psychology at play, surrender that power without even realizing it. Now pause and ask yourself, how many times have you seen this? How many times has a woman gone from warm to distant, from sweet to manipulative, the second you weren't chasing like before? And how many times did you blame yourself, thinking you did something wrong? That's the illusion. She wants you to believe her reaction is proof you've failed her. But in reality, her reaction is a mirror, reflecting not your weakness, but her dependence on your validation. The masculine response is not to chase harder. It's not to explain, apologize, or overcompensate. The masculine response is composure. Unshakable calm. To hold your frame when her emotions twist and turn like a storm trying to knock you off balance. Because here's the truth, the storm isn't about you, it's about her. If you react emotionally, she wins. If you chase, you confirm her importance. If you argue, you prove she still has the ability to shake your center. But if you remain grounded, if you allow her behavior to play out while you stand firm, something powerful happens. She realizes her usual tactics don't work on you. And in that moment she has a choice, rise to meet your standard or fall away. This is where most men fail. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle the distance. Their pride whispers that they're losing her, so they rush to reclaim what they think is slipping away. But what they don't realize is that by doing so, they place the leash around their own neck. She learns she can control them simply by pulling back, acting cold, or playing the victim. And from that point on, the dynamic is no longer equal, it's hers to command. But not you. Not if you understand this. Not if you see through the performance. Because that's what much of it is, a performance. Her indifference, her sudden flurry of attention, her attempts to provoke jealousy, all of it is designed to make you react. The less you react, the more the mask slips. The more the mask slips, the more you see the truth. And here's the truth most men don't want to admit. Many women don't fear losing the man himself. They fear losing the power his attention gave them. That is the bitter pill. But once you swallow it, you stop being fooled by the sudden swings of affection. You stop being drawn into emotional traps. You stop being controlled by a psychology you never chose to play against. Your strength is in detachment. Your power is in self-respect. Your magnetism is in the quiet confidence that you don't need to chase what pulls away, because you know your value doesn't vanish when someone else fails to recognize it. And when a woman realizes that, when she sees she can't rattle you, when she understands your interest is a gift and not her entitlement, that is when her true nature is revealed. When she feels you slipping away, every reaction she shows is a test. Some are loud, dramatic, impossible to miss. Others are subtle, quiet, calculated, designed to make you second-guess yourself without ever openly admitting what she's doing. And if you're blind to these patterns, you'll fall into them again and again, thinking you're repairing the relationship when in truth, you're handing her the blueprint to control you. The first reaction is coldness. She shuts down, goes quiet, replies with flat words, avoids eye contact, hides behind her phone. One day she's warm and playful, the next she's cold as winter. To most men this feels like rejection. And that's exactly the point. She wants you to feel like you've lost her. She wants to see whether your masculine center can handle silence, or whether you'll panic and chase. Because if you panic, if you rush to break the ice, you've just proven she can control you with absence. Her coldness isn't indifference, it's power. A defense mechanism mixed with strategy. She'd rather make you feel like you're the one begging than admit she fears losing your interest. Then comes the opposite reaction, the sudden flood of attention. Messages at midnight. Laughter at jokes that barely deserved a smile. Compliments that seem a little too rehearsed. To the average man this feels like victory, as if she realized how valuable he is and came back. But that's the illusion. What she's chasing isn't always you, it's the energy of being desired. When you pulled back you created a vacuum. And vacuums don't stay empty. Her ego rushes to fill it, not because she loves you, but because the absence of your attention forces her to face the possibility she is no longer desired. And for many women that possibility is intolerable. The danger here is subtle. Because if you mistake this sudden burst of affection for love, you'll lower your guard. You'll chase again. You'll overinvest, thinking the bond has been restored. But once she feels secure again, once she believes your interest has returned, she can relax. And when she relaxes, she slips right back into distance, coldness, or indifference. It's a cycle, and the more you play into it, the more addicted you become to the highs and lows she controls. Then there's jealousy. Few tactics cut as deep and few are as effective. When a woman senses she's losing your attention, she might start flirting with other men. Not because she wants them, but because she wants you to notice. She wants you to wonder, to imagine, to suffer. Maybe it's subtle, liking some guy's photo, laughing too much at another man's joke, casually mentioning someone who's been so sweet lately. Or maybe it's obvious, flirting in front of you, posting pictures with another guy, suddenly becoming more active on social media. The message is the same, you're not the only one who wants me. And here's the cruel twist, it works. You start second-guessing. You start analyzing every detail, replaying every word, wondering if she's moving on. And that mental chaos is the trap. Because once you're consumed with jealousy, you're no longer in control. You're reacting. And in reacting, you hand her the very power she felt slipping away. But remember this, if her loyalty can be bent so easily, if her attention can be weaponized against you the moment she feels insecure, then what she's protecting isn't love, it's ego. And if you don't see that, you'll confuse manipulation for affection. The next move is the victim card. Suddenly you're the bad guy. She'll accuse you of changing, of pulling away without cause, of being cold and uncaring. She'll remind you of the times you were different, as if your evolution is a betrayal. She wants guilt to do what coldness and jealousy couldn't. And if you're not careful, it will. Because most men hate being painted as heartless. They hate the idea that they've caused pain. So they explain. They justify. They apologize. They reinvest, not because the relationship has been repaired, but because they've been manipulated into defending their character. This is the trap of the victim act. It reframes her insecurity as your failure. And once you accept that frame, you'll give more than you should, not to improve the bond, but to prove you're not the villain she painted you as. That's emotional control dressed as hurt feelings. And the moment you fall for it, she knows she can reel you back in any time she wants, simply by acting wounded. Another reaction, less obvious but just as corrosive, is testing your patience. She'll cancel plans at the last minute, take hours to reply, bring up things she knows will get under your skin. Not because she enjoys chaos, but because she wants to measure your breaking point. How much will you tolerate before you walk? How invested are you really? If you lose your composure, if you blow up, if you beg or argue, you failed the test. You've proven she still holds the emotional leash. But if you stay calm, if you let her provocations dissolve into silence, if you refuse to be shaken by games, then suddenly the dynamic changes. She realizes the tests don't work, and now she has to decide whether to step up or step out. Each of these reactions, coldness, sudden affection, jealousy, victim playing, testing, are masks, performances. They are not random moods or harmless habits. They are psychology in motion, instinct mixed with strategy, fear wrapped in pride. And the men who see them for what they are, the men who hold their frame through it all, are the men who never again get trapped in cycles of control. Because the deeper truth is this: when she feels your interest slipping, she is not just reacting to you. She is reacting to the loss of certainty, the collapse of control, the realization that your attention was never hers to own, only yours to give. And when you hold that truth, you stop chasing, you stop apologizing, you stop being manipulated by storms of emotion that were never truly about love. One of the most frustrating reactions you'll ever face is indifference, or at least the performance of it. She pretends she doesn't care. She acts quiet, unbothered, focused on her own life. She stops initiating, stops texting, stops showing warmth. On the surface, it looks like she has moved on. And if you're not grounded, if your pride is fragile, you'll start to wonder, did I imagine everything between us? Was she never really invested? That's exactly the point. She wants you questioning yourself. Because doubt weakens men faster than rejection. Rejection you can fight against, indifference leaves you lost in your own head. But look closer. Her timing reveals the truth. If her "I don't care" attitude shows up only after you've pulled back, it isn't authentic detachment, it's a shield. She's hiding the fact that your withdrawal affected her by pretending she's already beyond it. It's smoke and mirrors, a test to see if her silence will drive you to break yours. And here lies the paradox. The more unbothered she acts, the more she wants to know if you'll chase. If you do, you validate her importance. If you don't, the mask eventually cracks and her real emotions surface. But most men can't handle that waiting game. They rush in, desperate to prove she still matters. And the second they do, they confirm her strategy worked. Then comes the most deceptive move of all: the sweetness, the warmth, the sudden burst of affection that feels like the woman you first met. When all else fails, coldness, jealousy, indifference, victim playing, she returns to the version of herself that pulled you in at the beginning. Suddenly she's affectionate again. She compliments you, she reminisces about your best moments, she speaks as if she wants to rebuild. This is the trap most men fall into. Because it feels so real. It feels like the love has returned, like she's had a genuine change of heart. But ask yourself, where was this affection before? Why did it only appear when your interest began to fade? If her sweetness shows up only when she fears losing you, then it's not about love, it's about security. It's about regaining the emotional certainty your attention provided. That's why this phase rarely lasts. Once you're pulled back in, once she feels safe again, the affection fades as quickly as it appeared. And you're left right where you started, invested, confused, wondering why the warmth disappeared. That's the cycle. And the more times you repeat it, the harder it becomes to see it clearly. Because your own emotions blind you. You tell yourself, maybe this time it's real. But the truth is, real affection isn't conditional. It doesn't appear only when you threaten to walk away. You see, all these reactions, coldness, sudden attention, jealousy, victim playing, testing, indifference, fake sweetness, they are different faces of the same reality. They are all rooted in the fear of losing power. Not the fear of losing you as a man, but the fear of losing the control your attention gave her. And until you grasp this, you will always misinterpret her behavior. You will always think her reactions are about love when in truth they're about leverage. This is the bitter truth most men don't want to swallow. They would rather believe she is fighting for them, when in reality she's fighting for what their attention represents. And if you mistake the two, you'll spend years trapped in cycles where you're constantly proving, chasing, apologizing, without ever being truly respected. So what is the masculine response? Detachment. Not coldness. Not bitterness. Not anger. True detachment. The calm understanding that your value doesn't rise or fall based on someone else's reaction. That your attention is a gift, not a leash. That when she performs, manipulates, tests, or pretends, you don't have to play along. This doesn't mean you stop caring about women. It means you stop letting their reactions dictate your self-worth. You stop being a puppet in someone else's emotional drama. You start seeing her actions as data, as evidence, as information about her psychology, not as commands you must obey. Because here's the reality. The way she reacts to your loss of interest is the purest window into who she really is. Not the version she sells you when she's comfortable, but the version that emerges when she feels uncertain, when she feels you slipping away. Some women rise in those moments. They become more authentic, more vulnerable, more willing to fight for something real. Others collapse into games, manipulation, and performance. And the difference tells you everything. You don't need to analyze every word she says. Watch her when you pull back. Watch her when your interest is no longer guaranteed. That's where the truth lives. That's where the mask falls. That's where you decide whether she's worthy of reinvestment, or whether your silence is the most powerful answer you could ever give. The man who masters this doesn't just win with women. He wins with himself. Because he learns to trust his own value, his own presence, his own gravity. He learns that he doesn't need to chase validation to prove he's worthy. He learns that real connection is built on respect, not tests, honesty, not manipulation, presence, not power games. And when a woman realizes she cannot shake you, when she sees that her coldness doesn't rattle you, her indifference doesn't move you, her jealousy doesn't infect you, her sweetness doesn't blind you, when she sees that you remain calm, composed, centered, that's when her real choice appears. To meet you at your level or to lose you completely. And here's the secret most men never understand: either outcome is a victory. Because if she meets you at your level, you gain a partner who has risen to your strength. And if she doesn't, you free yourself from a cycle that was never loved to begin with. In both cases, you win, because you never abandoned your own self-respect in the process. Every man eventually reaches a crossroads. He either remains blind to these patterns, forever reacting to coldness, chasing validation, mistaking manipulation for love, or he awakens. And when he awakens, he sees it clearly. The way she responds when he pulls back isn't a mystery. It's a revelation. Think of it like this. A woman's reaction to your fading interest is the X-ray of her psychology. It shows what lies beneath the surface smiles, beneath the early sweetness, beneath the playful charm. When she feels secure, she can keep the mask on. But when that security wavers, the mask slips. And what comes out in that moment, panic, jealousy, victimhood, games, or indifference, tells you more about her than months of words ever could. Most men don't want to see this truth. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to realize that not every laugh was pure, not every compliment was real, not every display of affection was unconditional. Some of it was tied directly to the certainty of your attention. And when that certainty weakens, her behavior reveals whether she was drawn to you, or addicted to the feeling of being desired by you. And here is the secret you must never forget. Your attention is power. It is the currency that women value most, whether they admit it or not. When freely given, it becomes background noise, taken for granted, overlooked, dismissed. But when withheld, when scarce, when offered with intention, it becomes priceless. That's why the moment you step back, she reacts. She feels the weight of that loss. This is why detachment is not weakness. Detachment is strength. It's the discipline to remain grounded when her storms rage. It's the courage to sit in silence when she's baiting you to react. It's the calm to walk away when every part of your ego wants to prove itself. That's what separates men who are consumed by female psychology from men who master it. Do you want to know why women test? Why they play these games? It's not always conscious. Sometimes it's instinct, pure survival programming. A woman wants to know if the man beside her is steady, if he can hold the line when the pressure comes. She wants to know if his value is real or just an act performed when things are easy. That's why she pushes, prods, withdraws, and provokes. She wants to know if the frame is real. But here's where you must be mercilessly honest with yourself. If you crumble under those tests, if you chase, beg, argue, or over-explain, you reveal that your strength was a facade. And once that illusion breaks, it's nearly impossible to restore. That's why composure is everything. Because composure communicates what words never could, that you are unshakable. That your center is not up for negotiation. That her storms, no matter how loud, cannot move the mountain you've built within yourself. Imagine this. She goes cold. Instead of chasing, you remain calm. She floods you with attention. Instead of surrendering, you observe. She flirts with others. Instead of crumbling, you stay grounded. She plays the victim. Instead of defending yourself, you see the manipulation and refuse to be pulled in. She tests your patience. Instead of exploding, you let her provocations dissolve into silence. She pretends not to care. Instead of rushing to prove yourself, you mirror that indifference with effortless calm. And finally, when she showers you with sweetness to pull you back, you don't collapse into fantasy. You stand firm, enjoying the warmth but never forgetting the patterns. Now ask yourself, what kind of man does that make you? Not a man tossed around by emotional chaos, but a man who cannot be moved. A man who reads women like a book, who never gets trapped in cycles of manipulation, who knows exactly when to invest and exactly when to walk away. That man is dangerous, Not because he's cruel, not because he plays games, but because he cannot be controlled. And that is the ultimate lesson. Women don't respect the man who chases. They don't respect the man who over-explains. They don't respect the man who breaks under pressure. They might use him, they might keep him around, but they will never truly admire him. Respect is reserved for the man who can walk away. Respect is reserved for the man who values his own peace more than her approval. Respect is reserved for the man who refuses to be moved by anything but truth. So the next time you feel her coldness, her sudden warmth, her games, her silence, don't panic. Watch. Observe. Let her reveal herself. Her reaction is your information. Her reaction is your compass. It tells you everything you need to know about where you stand. And once you see it clearly, you can decide, do I reinvest or do I walk away? Do I let her earn my attention again or do I reclaim it fully and move on? Either way you win. Because you're no longer blind. You're no longer trapped. You're no longer giving your power away in the hope of keeping her. You've become the man she cannot control, the man who is desired not because he chases, but because he doesn't need to. And that, my brother, is the forbidden truth. Women may never admit it, but they feel it. They know when they've met a man who doesn't bend to their storms. They know when they've met a man whose attention is scarce, intentional, and rooted in self-respect. They know when they've met a man who will never again be fooled by the masks of female psychology. Become that man. And watch how the entire game changes.